Today, I'm going to show you exactly how I tune an F1 car in F126 for Spa, not by copying someone else's setup, but by understanding what the circuit actually demands from the car. And if you've ever downloaded a setup, driven one lap, and thought, this feels terrible, then this video is going to be for you. We're going to build a setup step by step, explain why we're making each change, and hopefully by the end, you'll know how to tune any car for any track, not just by copying the numbers. Before I touch the setup menu, I always ask one question. Where does Spa reward lap time? And there are really four things. First, straight line speed. You've got the run from La Source all the way to Lake Home, and then another long pull after Stavelot. Second, high speed stability. Eau Rouge, Rédillon, and Puhan, and Blanchimont all require confidence. And then third, traction. You have to launch cleanly out of La Source, Bruxelles, and Stavelot. Finally, braking stability. Lake Home and the bus stop are two of the biggest passing zones on the calendar. Those four characteristics alone tell us exactly how we should tune the car. I always start with wings because Aero changes everything else. Too much rear wing and you'll be planted through Sector 2. But you'll get destroyed on the Kemmel Straight. Too little wing and you'll gain top speed but lose confidence through Puhan and Blanchimont. For Spa, I'm always searching for the lowest rear wing I can comfortably drive. And if the car survives Eau Rouge without trying to kill me, I probably don't need any more rear wing. Next is the differential. This controls how aggressively power reaches the rear tires. If the car keeps stepping sideways exiting La Source or Stavelot, I'll reduce the on-throttle differential. If it feels lazy rotating into slower corners, I'll reduce the off-throttle setting. I only change one thing at a time because otherwise you never know what actually fixes the problem. Now, suspension is often where most people overcomplicate things. And at Spa, I'm not chasing comfort. After all, this is just sim racing. I'm chasing confidence. I want the front responsive enough to change direction quickly while keeping the rear compliant so I can attack the curbs without upsetting the car. So if the rear feels nervous through Eau Rouge, for example, I soften it slightly before touching the wings. Spa isn't perfectly smooth. Run the car too low and you'll bottom out through Eau Rouge and lose speed. Run it too high and you're giving away free lap time on every straight. I'll lower the car until I start feeling instability or scraping and then come back one click. Here we don't just pick a number. We use brake bias to balance the car. If the rear wants to rotate too much under braking, we move the bias forward. If the car refuses to rotate into the slower corners, we move it back one click. Tiny adjustments here completely change your confidence. Tire pressures are the final polish. Higher pressures usually give better straight line speed and sharper steering, where lower pressures provide a larger contact patch and improves traction. This isn't where you'll find seconds, but you absolutely can find a few valuable tenths. Now, testing is where most people go wrong. They change 6 settings all at once, they drive one lap, and then they decide whether the setup works or not, and that's going to be impossible. I only change one parameter at a time, and then I drive at least 3 clean laps before deciding if it actually helped. Otherwise, you're just going to be chasing all the noise at once instead of solving the actual problem. This is probably the most important tip in this entire video. Don't ask, is this setup faster? Ask, what's the car telling me? Is it understeering in Puhan? Is it oversteering exiting La Source? Bottoming through Eau Rouge? Every symptom points towards a specific adjustment that needs to be made. And that's how race engineers work. They're solving problems, they're not just chasing random setup numbers. So there you have it. That's the process I use to build a setup for Spa in F126. Now keep in mind, this setup works for me. It fits my driving style, my preferences, and my equipment. I'm racing on a controller, so the way I want the car to behave may not be exactly what works for someone on a wheel or with a different driving style. These numbers are also specifically for time trial. You're running low fuel, perfect conditions, and fresh tires. A race setup is a completely different challenge. Tire temperatures, tire wear, fuel load, and long run consistency all change what the car needs. A great way to learn is to start with a known setup from a fast driver. That's a great baseline, but don't just copy numbers and stop there. Make changes, test them, and learn what each adjustment does. The fastest way to understand setups is to experiment with them. I'll usually spend 30 minutes to an hour making small changes, running laps, and figuring out what gives me the confidence to push harder. And remember, every track's going to be different. A Spa setup isn't going to work at Monaco. Monaco setups aren't going to work at Silverstone. The process stays the same though. Understand the track, understand what the car is doing, and make an adjustment and test it. And that's how you build a setup that works for you. So now that we've built the setup, let's put it all together and take the car out for a hot lap at Spa. Remember, this is time trial mode, so we're focused on one thing, extracting the maximum performance from the car. Low fuel, perfect conditions, and fresh tires. I'll talk you through the braking points, the racing line, and what I'm looking for in each corner to put together a fast lap. Coming across the line, we're headed into La Source. I'm braking just before the 100-meter board, getting the car slowed down in a straight line, and then releasing the brakes smoothly to let the car rotate. Don't rush the throttle here. The priority is getting the car pointed toward the downhill run to Eau Rouge. This is where Spa becomes special. The goal here is confidence. You want to use all the track on entry, commit to the corner, and minimize lift. A small hesitation here doesn't just cost time in the corner, it hurts your speed all the way down the Kemmel Straight. Let the downforce work. Trust the car. We want to brake around the 100-meter board, but the key here is brake release. Don't just slam on the brakes and wait. Get the initial stopping power and gradually release the pedal as you turn in. The goal here is to carry your speed through the left-right combo. Now, this is a tricky corner because it feels like you need to slow the car down more than you actually do. The mistake a lot of drivers make is getting on the brakes too early and killing the rotation. Get the car turned, prioritize the exit, and build throttle as early as you can. This is the biggest lap time corner at Spa. It's all about commitment. You want to carry as much speed as possible while keeping the car balanced. A little lift is okay, but avoid overslowing the car. Coming into campus, this is where smooth inputs matter. Avoid aggressive steering corrections and keep the car settled for the next section. Stavlo is another corner where the exit matters more than the entry. You want to get the car rotated and back onto the throttle as early as possible. This will lead to one of the fastest sections of the track. Clean exit here carries all the way through Blanchiment. The goal here is commitment. We want to use all the track. Keep the steering smooth and avoid any unnecessary corrections. Every little lift here costs speed all the way to bus stop. The biggest mistake here is attacking too much. We can gain a little on entry, but a bad exit destroys the run to the finish. Brake hard, rotate the car, and get back on the throttle early to maximize the exit. And that's a lap of Spa. As you can see, finding lap time isn't about one magic setup or one perfect corner. It's about putting all the pieces together. A setup that gives you confidence, consistent braking points, smooth inputs, gets the car to do exactly what you expect. So use this setup as a starting point, spend some time experimenting, make one change at a time, run a few laps, learn what each adjustment does. And that's how you'll build a setup that's fast for your driving style, not somebody else's. If you found this guide helpful, be sure to like it, subscribe, and we'll continue to promote track guides, tuning setups, and hot laps along the way. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.